Welcome back to another episode of Navigating Wellness. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make one of my epic bread buns that are gluten-free, oil-free, preservative-free, you name it, everything free. It's a super simple recipe to make, and all that we're going to be using is red lentils. Red lentils is the primary ingredient, so it's even grain-free. We're not throwing anything toxic in there, it's just red lentils, a little bit of water and salt, and then we're going to bake this guy up. You can add other things like psyllium husk if you want it to bind better. You can add things like flour, buckwheat flour to it if you want to make it a little bit more floury. There's always ways you can modify this recipe. Today's recipe, I'm going to be using a little bit of bicarb soda and apple cider vinegar just to make it rise a bit more than it usually does. But if you want to go and allow it to ferment and have it rise naturally without using the bicarb soda and apple cider vinegar, then go ahead and do it. Just all that you do is you soak these red lentils for a couple of days, keep draining the water so it's not that much gassy and you don't have a gas explosion in your home. Then all you do is you can soak it overnight, blend it up, leave it, allow it to ferment, and then bake that fermented lentil flour, and then you don't have to use the apple cider vinegar. But with that said, let's get down to business and let's make this red lentil bun. So here I have is the pre-soaked red lentils that I'm going to just add a little bit of water. Now you don't want to add too much of water, maybe about a quarter cup or so, just so that it's able to blend nicely. So I'm going to take that and add a bit of salt too. I'm going to add a generous amount of salt, just maybe about half a teaspoon, and then I'm adding garlic powder to it as well, and that's just for a little bit of flavor. And then I'm going to allow this to just lightly blend. Now I may need to add a bit more water if it doesn't come out the consistency that I want it to come out. So just a few light spoons. As you can see, it's now like a fairly roughish type texture, and I'm going to allow that to rest in a bowl. If you do end up blending it a bit too much, then what you can do is just add a little bit of psyllium husk to it, and that's going to bind the extra moisture content, or you can add oats to it as well. Alright, my other magical ingredient in this mixture is going to be rosemary. So I'm going to add a bit of rosemary to it, and that's just going to give it a nice taste. And mix. That's kind of what the consistency should look like. And then all you're going to do is you're going to mold it into round bun-sized balls and place it on a baking pan. So as I mentioned, in this recipe, I'm going to be adding a little bit of sodium bicarbonate or bicarb soda, just so that it rises nicely, and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and just about a cap. And once that's done, you want to wet your hands a little, and then we're going to form these into round balls that I'm going to allow to bake. So there we go. You can add a bit of sesame seeds or whatever you want to on top of it if you want it to look a little nicer. But there we go. Alright, so that's it. And I'm going to pop this in the oven for about 30 minutes on around 380 degrees Fahrenheit. So there you go, my friends. Here are these nice little red lentil buns. They're very simple to make, and there's no excuse to be buying store-bought breads when you can make this so easily, so quick. If you want it to be a little bit of a softer texture, then just make sure to take it out of the oven much sooner than the actual 40 or 30 minutes. Usually these bake pretty fast, so about 20 to 30 minutes in the oven is pretty good. But as always, remember, we always want to be keeping things clean, so vegan, gluten-free, oil-free, none of the toxic ingredients, and this is really simple as a substitute for wanting to eat those buns that we buy from the store-bought buns that have a lot of these toxic ingredients that we generally want to avoid. And this is fresh and it's loaded with protein. People always ask me where you get protein from. Well, these buns are loaded with proteins because they're made out of lentils. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next epic recipe video.